Good afternoon, folk, and welcome to the Cool Gaming Bros channel update for the month of February. I have come back from an evening jog and I thought to myself, what better thing to do than to make the channel update. As you know, this is a monthly video I release to get in touch with you guys, to let you know what I'm working on and what you can look forward to watching. And also, this month in particular, it's kind of just my musings on video games and Let's Plays in general. So if you'll sit back and lend an ear, I'll philosophize a little. Now to start off with, let's talk about the current projects. I'll begin with the one I'm nearest to finishing, which is Red Dead Redemption. I actually plan to watch The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly after I finish making this, so that I may finish this game in the right cowboy mindset. I rank it up there with Resident Evil 4 as one of the best complete gaming experiences I've ever had. So, yeah, Red Dead Redemption will be finished and it'll have a glorious end, I hope. And at some point, I will play the Undead Nightmare, I think is what it's called, the zombie version of the game. Next up, we have Dragon's Dogma. I don't even think I'm halfway through this game. There's just so much to be done in it, and there's ought to do with all my fucking pods. They drive me insane, but at the same time, I love them. Actually, if you check up here, I'm gonna post my PSN ID, as some people have requested that they want to check Jenny out for themselves. So, by all means, have your way with her, toss her around, feel free to do so. That way, when I get back to playing it, I'll see if she's gone on some adventures. Now to actually talk about the events in the game, I think I left off doing dragon charges so that I may actually fight a dragon, which would mark the halfway point in the game. I'm amazed that I played this much and only am at this point. I've heard comments of people saying that I meander too much in this game, but I play all my RPGs in a kind of meandering style. It's never the main adventure quest line that's the funnest, it's all the little sundry adventures you get yourselves into wandering the land. But I'm always open to advice on how to make the Let's Plays more engaging. I make it a point in this playthrough, and pretty much in any playthrough of an RPG that has inventory, to cut out inventory management. Maybe I'll throw in a little inventory management if I find an item that I'm gonna equip and it'll change the playthrough from that point forward, or if I have some snarky comment to make about something. But as a general rule, stuff like inventory management and menus and fast travels and loading screens, those immediately get the chopping block, because that stuff just ain't very interesting. But maybe some of those other just traveling and misadventures aren't too interesting either. My philosophy is, if it shows character growth, it's important to include. But just give me your feedback on that. I will see this game through. And in fact, there has been announcements and Famitsu scans from the magazine in Japan that Dragon's Dogma sequel has been announced. And good lord, what has Capcom done to the series? If you haven't heard, Dragon's Dogma Online, the successor to Dragon's Dogma, has been announced. I don't believe there is any plans for a Western localization, but I'm sure fans will clamor and they'll bring it over, but I'm not sure if we want it to come over, because it is a massively multiplayer free game. Now, that in itself is not a bad thing. We should always be open to games and not judge them harshly before they're even made. But I'm not a fan of MMOs. I think Dragon's Dogma is a great game to allow instance multiplayer. I mean, it's a game that's clamoring for multiplayer, because I'd rather play with some inept retard online than the retarded AI. So if they made it in a Guild Wars style, I think it could work, but it's Capcom, it's free, it's an MMO, and I think MMOs are just the wrong approach for this game. I think adding multiplayer would be great, but I think MMOs are not good video games to play. MMOs are great breeding grounds for player interactions, And for a social aspect to gaming, MMOs do have a warm spot in my heart, but it's not for the gameplay. Which is a shame because Dragon's Dogma has incredible gameplay, but I just don't know how that would transition into a massively multiplayer title. I just have many misgivings with this announcement, and as such, I'm not really hyped for it. If it turns out great, I'll be pleasantly surprised, but if it doesn't, well, we only expected as much, Capcom. And next we have Warband and Gekko Kujo. I am sorry that I've not continued this series, but continue it I shall. I miss my samurai buddies. I miss traveling with Musashi and Tojiko and all of them. So I will revisit this. The big problem with it is a huge hard drive sink. But I've freed up space. I am free to play anything at this point, and in fact, I ask you guys in the comments to say what you'd most like to see played. Right now my tentative plans are to finish Red Dead Redemption, but I have ample space to play just about anything. Heck, I could even start a new series if y'all clamor for it. So just give me some feedback on that. And feedback would be appreciated in general, because now I'm going to move on to talking about Twitch. Twitch.tv, that streaming broadcasting website where I dabble a little of my time in there. If you've noticed, I've been sharing a Dead Rising 2 playthrough that I did on there. I've parceled it out and uploaded it. In fact, today and tomorrow I'll have the whole series up. And I've tried to remove notifications for most of the videos because you don't want your inbox hammered with all that content. But I'm not sure what I'm doing with my Twitch channel. It's a far different medium from YouTube. And I hope you don't feel like the content I upload from Twitch, like the XCOM playthrough or the Dead Rising playthrough I'm putting up now, is an attempt to double dip on content. Really, I'm just doing my best to share my gaming with as many people as I can. And seeing as you guys are the ones who mostly watch what I play, I figure you're the perfect audience for that. Yes, it's a little different. It's got a vanity camera up there and some text that kind of clogs the stream. And in fact, I'm not sure how I feel about an in-game cam. I've read that it's necessary for Twitch since it's more of a bro-y play with the person in your living room type of thing. But I don't see what it really adds to the experience. After all, when I play games, I get so absorbed in them that I always feel like I'm in there with that character anyway. Like, my in-game avatar is me, so you really don't gotta see my face. But I do it because it's the Twitch thing to do. And in many ways, Twitch appeals to me for what it is, really. Just so many games I would love to play and share with you guys, but creating videos on YouTube is far more time intensive than Twitch. Twitch is an easier medium that doesn't involve thumbnail creations or video descriptions or too much editing besides cutting up videos for VODs. But at the same time, not everyone's available to attend a stream, and in many ways I don't feel like playing games on Twitch because I feel it's a disservice to you people on YouTube, because what if you wanted to see that cool game that I only played that day on Twitch? So it's a strange conundrum I'm having. On one hand, I enjoy Twitch and what it provides in terms of interaction. That's a big benefit of streaming because you get direct communication with people, and in many ways it kind of enriches the experience. It's really like you're playing with bros. And for instance, in Dead Rising, I would have never have known that I can recruit Snowflake the Tiger if I give her steak if someone hadn't mentioned that. That's like, your comments directly impacted my game versus the tips you give me on YouTube that I read and try to factor in there after it's been said and done. So, on one hand, I really enjoy the live appeal of Twitch, but on the other hand, it really restricts my editing ability, and I feel like editing is the key to making entertaining content on YouTube. So, I'm torn. It's like I want to become a streamer and kind of move into that type of content. But at the same time, I got all you guys, so I just want to hear your thoughts on this. So far, what I've come up with is a compromise that I'm going to enact. I don't release much CAG content anymore, despite all the love that the CAG community has shown to me. So, I figure I can give back and use Twitch to supplement the YouTube and not replace it by streaming CAG on Fridays and Saturdays, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll stream it for a few hours and people can jump on in and join me. And I'll see how that goes. I will be consistent with this. We'll stream CAG. Maybe I'll move on to other games. Maybe I won't. But at the very least, there will be CAG on the weekends. And that might revitalize interest or just enliven the community for that game. I'm sure it's still thriving because CAG is a wonderful title. So remember, starting 1 p.m. Eastern Time on my Twitch channel, link is down there in the description, you can join me for some fun CAG adventures. I just play, listen to music, and talk to people, and throw up little emoticon faces. Well, with those topics discussed, now I'd like to move into something a little different. Now I'd like to talk about why you guys don't see a flurry of content for the games you subscribe for, and really why it seems like I'm reticent or slow on working on Dark Souls 2 or CAG or Mountain multiplayer. Really, that's how I look at it. The stuff you guys like to see. And that's because video making kind of makes me anxious in a way. The larger an audience a video series attracts, the more frightening it is the peril of failing to entertain them. So, fear, really, stops a lot of the video progress you see here on this channel. But I learned something valuable, from children no less, in an event that occurred a few weeks ago that showed me what I do this for, what Let's Playing is about. And though I might not know the medium I might share my playthroughs on, or which games I'm going to be playing, I always know what it is I aim to share. And I was reminded because a few weeks ago I visited a friend. He is a chef at the place I work. And on my off days, sometimes I ride over and we hang out. And this week, he had children in his living room. I mean, the man's had children, but they're pretty much adults now. I think the youngest is 18 or 17. But he had a boy, must be no older than 4, and his sister, a 6-year-old girl, playing games in his living room. My friend told me that he was paid to look after these children for another coworker, and the best way to entertain kids that you don't really have time for is to plop them in front of video games. Well, after I hung out with my friend, I went to the living room to talk to these kids. And it's amazing how children will open up to you, especially ones who have been neglected a bit in attention for just showing interest in the things they do. And these kids were playing Saints Row 3, I think, on the Xbox 360. And the sister was playing because she was the commanding sort and she played while the brother watched. But I paid attention to what she was doing, commented on her gameplay. As I watched, I noticed that she went around not playing the campaign, just collecting cars and driving them carefully back into her home base's garage. If she saw a pretty one, she got in it and took it back to the house, trying not to kill people. And I asked her, what are you doing those cars for? You know, you could have any car you want. Any car is yours. And she replied, but if you put them in the garage, then they're there for you forever. And that's what she was going around doing, collecting cars and keeping them. And someone called her away and she left, and so the boy climbed up onto the chair and he got the controller oversized for his hands and he wanted to play and he asked, come on, look at me watch. And I said, all right. And the boy got in a car, put his foot on the gas, and just rammed into the vehicle in front of him. Then he backed it up and rammed it into the car parked behind him, And he just went around hitting every single thing that he could hit. Not people, mind you, just other vehicles. It really felt like he was playing bumper cars. Like, if he had virtual Hot Wheels and he was just ramming them together. But he was doing that and having a hell of a time hollering and hooting at all the scrap metal he was creating. And I realized then that this is what Let's Playing is about. It's about seeing a person's personality manifest itself through his fingers in actions in the game. Like, it's transmitting it and broadcasting it. Though they each played the same game minutes apart, they played it so differently. And I think that's what people want to watch. I've come to realize that the way I play games for this channel, I see them as a sort of puppeteering. To me, all the characters in the games I play are puppets, and I use them to tell a story. Yeah, I don't speak for them. Thankfully, most of their lines are written for them, but that's kind of how I play my games and show them to you guys. I'm not much of a speedrunner, not a completionist, though a small part of me is. I just like to play with my games and make all these inanimate worlds alive. That's what those kids taught me. They made me realize games speak with the way you play them. So, yeah. As such, I'm free to play whatever. Just give some input, and we'll see what comes up on this channel. As for this week's musical recommendation, I've been playing their stuff. I've been trying to recommend instrumental things so I can talk over it and benefit from their awesome playing. But again, don't sue me for stealing their monies. This month is And So I Watch You From Afar. They don't win points for their band name, but they're somewhere between the chiptune style of Amanaguchi and the post-rocky sound of the band I recommended last month, L1011. They're mostly instrumental. It's pretty rocky, bass, guitar, and drums, but I think there's a little electronic element. The build-ups are pretty friggin' epic, and occasionally there's chanting, so they're singing, but kind of used as an instrument and not really telling words, you know? But they're pretty awesome. You've been hearing them, so if you like what you're hearing, go check them out. And thanks for listening. As always, if you want to help one man and his dream to entertain people through video games, there's a donation link at the bottom. Take care of yourselves, and good night.